So this is a video going over just a couple examples from your 10.6 packet. So the first set of questions here says, determine whether the sample is biased or unbiased. So these vocab words are in your video notes, video 6. You should have watched that already. If you haven't, stop right now and go back and watch video 6. But I just wanted to go over the directions on this page, okay? So, number 1, you want to estimate the number of students in your school who want a football stadium to be built. And you randomly survey 100 students at lunch. Okay, so we need to remember that the population is the whole group. The whole group that we're trying to learn something about. So I'm going to read the question again. I want to know how many students in my school. Okay, that's the population. Students at school, right? All the students at my school. So I'm going to put a little arrow here. That's the population. Now, we want to know about them. We want to know how many want a football stadium. Okay, but we're looking at all the students at school. We randomly survey 100 students at lunch. So the smaller part, or the group, the part of the whole population that we're looking at is 100 students at lunch. Okay, so the population is what's the whole group you're trying to learn about. The sample is a small group of that population. Okay, biased or not, we know those definitions from video 6 and explain. So I think 100 students at lunch, randomly selected, is a good sample, right? So I'm going to say it's not biased, which is good. We like not biased, unbiased samples. And the reason for that, it's random, it's large enough, and the whole population is represented. Right? Anyone from the whole school is equally likely to be selected at lunch, right? You're not just asking people in band class, or not just asking 8th graders, or not just asking 7th graders, right? The whole population is represented. It's a large enough group to get good data, and you're selecting people randomly, okay? Let's jump down here. I want to do one together with these directions here that say determine whether the conclusion is valid. Again, valid is a vocab word from video 6. Go back and watch video 6 if you need to. I want you to write down that there are 2 things that we need to be checking to see if a conclusion is valid. Number 1, we need to have a good sample. So good meaning unbiased sample. And number 2, check the math. Check the numbers, okay? This one says you want to determine the number of city residents who want to have 38th Street repaved. You randomly survey 175 residents who live all across town. 120 of them want the street to be repaved, 30 do not. So you conclude that 80% of the city residents want the street to be repaved. Okay, so again, population, the entire group that we're looking at, all city residents, or who we're trying to learn about. We talk to 150 who live across town, random, so random, 150 all across town. Okay, so would this conclusion be valid or not? Well, let's check and see if the sample's good. 150 is probably enough people. We know that they're all from all across town, so we're equally likely to get all different kinds of city residents. Okay, it's random, so yes, I'd say this is a good sample. So good sample, check, right? And now let's check the math. So 120 want it to be repaved out of 150. I could divide that in my calculator or just simplify it. If I keep simplifying, and 4/5 is 80%, so that's a true statement, right? Using our results from our survey, we do conclude that 80% or approximately 80% want the street to be repaved. Okay? The last thing I want to show you, I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. The last thing is you're going to be using proportions, right? So setting up the proportion from the probability that they give you. It might be written as a fraction or a decimal or a percent, right? So for example, 15%, I might write as 15% this way, and then finish setting up my proportion and line up my labels, cross multiply and solve for x. Okay, so I think the rest of this packet should be fine to finish on your own, but I just wanted to go over a couple examples on the first page. All right.